The House Intelligence Committee responding to the Justice Department's expression of concern about the release of the committee's 4-page memo detailing FISA surveillance abuses. A spokesman for Chairman Devin Nunes says this, quote, "Agencies that are under investigation by congressional committees don't typically get access to the committee's investigative documents about them. And it is no surprise these agencies don't want the abuses we've found to be made public." Joining us tonight, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. Judicial Watch now suing the Department of Justice to retrieve the Strzok and Page FBI text. And first of all, it's great to see you. I have to give, I'm calling point blank Devin Nunes a hero in this episode. He is now doing so with great wit. I thought that response was absolutely perfect. What did you think?
I thought it was great, too, and the disturbing aspect of it is that the Justice Department is acting as if Hillary Clinton is president, as opposed to President Trump. You know, Jeff Sessions has put himself in a box because of the Russia recusal, and it seems Special Counsel Mueller is running the investigation, and all of this fight about the dossier, all of this back and forth about the FBI text messages and the modified limited hangout of text messages. It's about protecting Mueller's operation, and I think there's a race. There's a race for Mueller to interview Trump if he can prior to his operation being blown apart by the release of this dossier memo by the House, or more text messages that will further expose the whole investigation into Trump and, frankly, into Hillary Clinton, which is related, as a partisan sham.
The missing text, why did they? I've never seen a recovery quite like this. Within less than a week of being told in a rather high and mighty fashion by the FBI director that the texts were lost, they have been found. It doesn't rise to the level of a miracle, perhaps a political miracle. But have you ever seen anything like this, and what do you suspect is at work here?
Well, I never thought they were missing to begin with, so it's no surprise they were found. I mean, they were found a few hours after we sued for them in federal court yesterday, which I thought was quite the late, I guess, a Christmas miracle a month late.
A suspicious conversion, I have to admit.
That's right. And, you know, but we've seen this before. You know, they told us Lois Lerner's emails over at the IRS. They had been missing or were lost, and we said, well, what about backup tapes? Well, there are no backup tapes. And then it turned out there were backup tapes. And, of course, most famously, Hillary Clinton had no emails. And it turned out she had 60,000 of them. And even the ones she deleted, we were able to uncover thanks to forcing the FBI to do a little bit of its job in 2016.
But no complete miracle at the State Department, where still there is an onerous burden that weighs upon those mighty servants of the American public, where they can only sort of send them out in dribbles for the great unwashed, that is, American citizens like you and me and those watching, so that we could at least comprehend the machinations of better minds and higher purposes than we serve.
That's right. The bureaucrats who are being enlisted, I think, thanks to pressure from President Trump to actually review these documents more quickly, are complaining that they have to do that type of work because it's beneath them. But the same is happening over at the Justice Department. There's a lack of transparency of this Justice Department that would have made the Obama Justice Department blush. And the deep state is in full control over there, thanks to the leadership just checking out on these transparency issues and refusing to be brave on these transparency issues. And that's why we're being we're told by the FBI that we've asked about these text messages. I can't tell you how contemptuous they were in response. And they essentially told us to sue us if you want them, which is what we happily did. But, you know, we've had numerous lawsuits that they should have been turning these over to us. And they basically been giving us the back of the hand. And this is out of the new administration, not the Obama administration.
Right. So let me ask you, that raises the question. Why, you must ask yourself this question, surely, why would not President Trump order these people, these servants of the American public, to act in his interest and release that to the American people because it is our right to know.
I think he's receiving legal advice not to get involved. I don't know how else to explain it, because I think he does want this information released. He's been complaining about it separately through tweets and things like that. But it's one thing to complain about it via a tweet and get your lawyers and get the Justice Department to do what you want them to do. And I think he's been put in a box as a result of this illicit criminal investigation into him, that he can't talk about declassifying the dossier documents or the FISA warrants or the unmasking
well, perhaps
documents.
He doesn't have to talk about it. I know this is a strange possibility to even imagine. But let's imagine that the president would not talk about it, but nonetheless his attorneys order, or he personally order, the attorney general, release the documents. Say to Rex Tillerson, release the documents. And let's end this nonsense and create the transparency the American people have a right to demand from their government.
I've told the White House directly that, and it just hasn't happened. I've called for, we talk about extreme vetting. I want extreme transparency in all of this. And to me, the Justice Department has ceded all of its authority on these issues to Robert Mueller. They cite his investigation to withhold information from us.
Lord.
And it's become King Mueller at the Justice Department. And he's just another lawyer working on a contract basis for the bureaucracy, but he's being treated as a king. And it's got to stop. It's got to stop. And Mueller's operation has been compromised. And this is why you have the secrecy.
It's right with compromise, corruption, political corruption, and conflict. It's that simple. Thank you, Tom Fitton, for keeping us, giving us your insight and keeping us up with the waves of the ebb and flow of this extraordinary drama. Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch. Be sure to vote in tonight's poll. The question is, do you believe the Dems leadership will soon be in a dark corner, whimpering as fear sets in as the midterms approach and their fate seems assured because of a very strong economy? Cast your vote on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Follow me on Twitter at Lou Dobbs. Like me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram at Lou Dobbs tonight. On Wall Street, stocks closing mixed. The Dow up 141 points. Not a bad rally. The S&P gained only 2, but both closed at, are you ready? All-time record highs. The Nasdaq down 4 points. Volume on the big board, 3.8 billion shares as volume continues to be brisk. And by the way, that's 10 records set so far this year, but we're only at January 25th, so it's not really too bad. A reminder to listen to my reports 3 times a day, coast to coast on the Salem Radio Network. Up next, new details on the White House immigration proposal. It may disappoint some of the president's supporters and the tens of millions who voted for him. And the Dems and deep state scrambling to discredit the House Intel Committee's FISA memorandum before it's released. I'll take that up with Congressman Sean Duffy here next. Stay with us. We're coming right back.